Welcome to episode 7 of Drug Free Australia's Injecting Rooms scam series, where in this episode we will be looking at how the injecting rooms mislead the public. In the last 6 episodes, we have covered the 5 government-directed objectives for injecting rooms, and on every metric they have failed to demonstrate any benefit. Worse, they have astronomical numbers of overdoses driven, as we have demonstrated in previous episodes, by experimentation, making these facilities government-funded accessories to the drug trade. So how is it that they are still operating? And the key is their disinformation campaigns. We can see this at work in the Sydney facility, which opened in 2001. From the beginning, they sowed outright disinformation. That is the new word that we use in place of the word lying. Here is where they started. They said that every overdose that they intervened in the facility was a life saved. In this ABC television report, they claimed that in the first month they had saved 4 lives. They had intervened in 4 overdoses, therefore 4 lives were saved. It was a claim that they repeated in local newspapers. Every overdose intervention was a life saved. It wasn't long before they were claiming 100 lives saved. And in this New South Wales Parliament speech, a year after the opening of the facility, it was 250 lives that were now claimed. The important thing is that this is what they told the politicians, and it is what was repeated by the politicians. Did the injecting room management know that they were peddling disinformation? And the question is, how could they not know? 44% of their client registration forms recorded an average 3 overdoses per client before they ever came to the facility. And so management definitely knew, but they never lifted a finger against the disinformation. The Sydney facility has survived by a number of strategies, which include claiming success for reductions in discarded needles and public injecting, and overdoses which were caused by the heroin drought, first of all, and also by the stricter policing displacement effect. They've also downplayed their astronomical number of overdoses, and they have refused to draw conclusions from negative data, which keeps politicians and the public in the dark. They have unashamedly inflated lives saved calculations against all mathematical possibility. They have also played the emotional card in the media and with politicians. Now, Melbourne didn't have the luxury of a heroin drought to help them, and so they had to fabricate success from the lower ambulance call-outs that came from stricter policing and the associated displacement effect. They had to also fabricate wildly exaggerated life-saved numbers, where the European method, which you see on the screen here for calculating lives saved, a method with real substance, demonstrates that they never even got close to saving a single life in a year. And then we can go to Vancouver. Their evaluators exploited the displacement effect in 2003, created by the change to zero-tolerance policing 6 months before their injecting room opened, where, of course, dealers were displaced to other suburbs, followed by users and their overdoses and their discarded needles and public injecting, all gone elsewhere as a result of that policing. But the evaluators claimed it all as a victory for the injecting room. The most reliable estimate made for lives saved there was 1 life saved per year for the many millions that were spent, that, like every other injecting room, could have been spent on rehab, saving multiple lives per year for the same money. Were these evaluators dealing with honesty and integrity? I think you can decide that one. Our last episode will examine who these government-funded evaluators actually were.